I'm totally kidding. Hi, welcome. How are you guys holding out? It's been a long day, I can imagine. Yeah.
I've just discovered that I really like somebody reading our bio and introducing us that way. It's very nice.
Yeah,
it sounds like you're talking about somebody else, but it's it sounds like interesting.
Although we were informing a little bit, we realized actually, unfortunately, we realized this morning that our bios are a little bit outdated.
By a few years.
We kind of had a kid in the interim, so we sort of got distracted with bios and kind of updated them.
Yeah.
So why don't you give a quick update?
Okay, so the quick update that I'm currently directing a CG animated film that's in development at Paramount, and I directed a TV series called The Annoying Orange for Cartoon Network.
And I'm writing for 3 different TV shows that are in syndication right now and shown all over the world. They're educational, informational shows, and they're on a crazy fast turnaround. I write 2 scripts a week, 2 half-hour scripts a week, and they air sometimes as quickly as 4.5 weeks after I turn a script in. It's amazing. It's a really good exercise in spitting it out. It's good.
And for those non-believers out there of family and career at the same time, we're doing it by the skin of our teeth. We have 2 kids. One is 5 months old. He's out there in the library right now. He should be fine. We've left him for periods of time before. He's good.
He's crawling now, so we're not worried.
Yeah. So we've got a handful, and we're so excited to be here. This is our 3rd year at the Great American Pitch Fest, and we're just delighted. So we've got some really fun things for you in the next 30 minutes or less. So this is Improv for Writers. And why improv? Why is this important for writers, for pitching, for film and television?
Well, we are kind of we're sort of the evangelists for improv because we believe that it's good for everything, and we found our way to it as writers, as actors, but we realize that it's good for everything. The idea is it keeps you adaptable, it keeps you flexible, it keeps you in the moment, and
much like yoga does for your body,
yeah.
Improv keeps you flexible in terms of how you react to day-to-day situations, pitching to executives, and even responding to our characters as we write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we use it as writers. We're focusing on pitching today, but we use it as writers as well. No matter what part of the process you're in, we think improv is great. We also think it's great for day-to-day life. It's a great way to be in the industry, and it's a great way to just sort of, live your day-to-day. Mm-hmm. So we're converts.
And we hope in 20 minutes you all will be too.
Definitely.
So just to start, and just to get our blood moving a little bit, if everybody could please stand up at your seats. Good. Now, quick exercise before we get started. Just go ahead and cross your arms in front of you. And determine which arm is on top and which one is on bottom, and switch. How was that? It's awkward and weird. Yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah. What's that?
It is sort of a little negative feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. So, good. You can go ahead and relax your arms. This is to illustrate one simple thing. The kinds of things that we're going to be talking about and doing in the next few minutes may be awkward or uncomfortable, but I should ask first, was anyone injured in this exercise? Seriously injured?
You had a lot of ability. We should start that again.
So far, our record is 100% that no one has been injured by this. And we assure you that no one will be injured by the improv exercises that we're going to be doing in the next few minutes. But we do think that you'll be able to use those exercises and ideas in everything that you do, and your writing and your pitching from here on out.
And while you might feel a little uncomfortable, like you were when you uncrossed and recrossed your arms, you won't be hurt.
Great. Okay, thank you. You can sit down, and we're gonna share with you very quickly some of the golden rules of improv.
Yeah, and let me say too that improv isn't something that we believe in also like practicing it, training with it, keeping it going. We're both improvisers, and we work with an improv troupe at Henson's, and we kind of try to keep that part of our lives going. It's the same kind of thing. Even the little exercises that we do today are things that you can kind of keep practicing and keep doing, and just keep yourself facile. It's like working out.
It is. It's a lot like working out.
So we're going to talk about the 7 golden rules of improv, and every improv teacher in the world probably has a different 7 golden rules, but these are ours. And
ours are right. So those other people have interesting ideas. These are the ones that you should write down and save for posterity. It might be things that you pass on to your children and grandchildren, put into a time capsule and bury.
And actually, having a 3-year-old, the very first of these rules is incredibly important to us. We actually have it posted to the wall of our dining room.
Yes. Rule number 1 is listen. Now it seems simple, basic, but it has many connotations.
And we should say right now, too, that we're talking about this stuff, we are talking about this stuff specifically in context of pitching today. So when we're talking about listening, you might be saying, but I'm pitching. Who am I listening to? But we're talking about pitching tomorrow, which might be someone else doing a lot of listening to you. But we're also talking about pitching, pitching to a room of executives, maybe pitching to a panel of people, maybe pitching your idea to somebody else. And hopefully, once you pitch something, that will instigate either a question or a what if we go down this path, or oh, I know this, it kind of reminds me of something else. And all of those instances, you have to be listening. And when you're pitching and you're in putting it out there mode, it's easy to forget that you're actually supposed to be taking it in as well. So as soon as you're done with the words, as soon as you let them land and you sit back and let someone respond to you, it's so important to be open and to listen carefully. And if you need to, as I do, have a notepad ready so you can write down what they're saying. Because I can't remember things 2 minutes later.
And actually, that's a great point. I'm so glad you said that too. It's a real sign of honor when you're getting notes from someone to write down what they're saying. You're honoring that person, and you're making them feel as though whatever they're saying is important. And they're much more likely to give you more ideas and notes in response if you're right. We're going to come back to that in a second, but also it's very important when you're listening to respond to the last thing that was said. So you might be taking mental notes of the things that have been said to you. It's very important that the first thing that you respond to is the last thing said. This is for when you're on stage acting and performing with someone, but it's also in conversation and when you're pitching to someone. Next door sounds like they're having a lot of fun. So thank you for that. And actually, you know what, just to throw them off, because much like sporting events, sometimes we applaud for things that haven't happened yet. Can we just do like a great
With
big...
a lot of laughter.
Yeah, a lot of laughter. Big round of applause. We are having a good time in here. Good. Number 2, accept all offers.
And that actually was a really good example of that, surreptitiously.
Yes.
I don't think that was the right word at all.
No, it was good.
But I'm a writer. It is a really good idea to accept all offers. And what we mean by that is when you're pitching, someone will say, oh my God, that's so great. As I said before, what if it was a banana instead of a monkey? Whatever idea they might have.
And in that moment, your job is to say, yes, and build on it. If there's even a look of like,
or if there's a look of like, oh my God, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Or even worse, I tried that.
Yeah.
That's going to shut that
Or
person
even
down.
worse than that, no.
And another version of no is yes, but. So we like the idea of yes, and. Yes is just accepting whatever has been said to you last, and is adding something to that. Oh, and if that's the case, then my character could go to the moon, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter in the moment if you like the idea or not.
And when we say accept all offers, we don't mean go home and rewrite your screenplay with every offer anybody has given you, because you will ultimately end up with probably a 175-page of garbage, because it's, everybody has an idea and an opinion about what's going to make your play great, what's going to make your screenplay great.
When we were, oh, sorry.
I was going to say some of those offers are great and you may use, and some you may not, but in the moment, accept it, go with it, and see where it leads.
While working on several of the, actually all the Pixar films that I worked on, we would get notes from Disney executives, and we would think, that note's wrong. We know, they say that this scene doesn't work, and we know that scene works. We know that scene works. And we would reject that note. And it would make us feel like, it would give us like a pause, like maybe we don't know what we're talking about, because we know that scene works. But then we would say, hang on a second, wait a minute. I understand now. The note, though they said this scene doesn't work, is absolutely accurate. And so are we. That scene doesn't work, but the setup is broken. And the executives who are giving us the note may not necessarily have detected that it was the setup. That was our job as the writers and the storytellers to figure that out. But they knew that that scene that came after that wasn't working. So if we had just said, I reject that note, I don't care about that note anymore, that's the wrong note, then we wouldn't have been accepting that gift, which was, there's something here. So, oh my goodness, there's so much to say in so little time.
The third rule of improv is to take care of your partner. And by partner, we could mean your writing partner. But specifically, we also, at Pitch Fest, we're talking about taking care of your partner in the moment, who is the person you're pitching to. And that moment, they are your peer, they are your partner. You guys are there together, sharing the experience. And your job is to take care of them. And that can mean a number of different things. It sometimes just means not being needy. Did you like it? Did you really like it? Did you really like it? Because they kind of just want to approach you as a partner. It makes them feel more comfortable, like they don't have to take care of you. So if you go in with the idea of taking care of them, then you kind of don't have to worry about it. And they can sit back and relax instead of being nervous for you and being worried that it's not going to work out.
And you have to keep in mind that the executives who are coming here, or in any case when you're pitching, are desperately hoping that this is the story and the person that they need, that they're looking for. So reassure them. And you have something that they need. It really, we'll talk about status in a second. But when you walk into the room with an idea, you have the status, even though it doesn't feel like that, because we want the person who is receiving this to like it and accept us and like us. But it really is the opposite. They're hoping, they're wishing that that thing that they're about to hear is just right. That person that they're about to meet is the perfect fit.
They're hoping that the thing you're pitching them is going to make their career and you're all going to be gazillionaires. So that is exactly why they're here tomorrow.
And they can't do what we do. And that's why they're listening to your pitches.
Yeah.
Right?
Number 4.
Throw yourself at failure. A friend of ours, Richard Taylor, who runs a wedding workshop in New Zealand, the guy that did Lord of the Rings, he has this wonderful credo that we've adopted wholeheartedly, which is throw yourself at failure and hope you miss. And we truly believe that success is impossible without the willingness to fail. And we'd like to just point out a difference in semantics. Is anyone a writer here? I'm making an assumption. What is writer? Yeah. So let's talk about semantics for a second. The difference between I have failed and I'm a failure. What's the difference? I have failed and I'm a failure.
One can imply one time and one seems like it's all the time.
Exactly. One's a state of being and one's an event, right?
Right, and if you're an executive and you hear I'm a failure, well, why do I need to listen to you?
Yes.
I mean, it's boring.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everybody in this industry has had projects that have failed. I mean, how many films get shut down before they ever get off the ground? How many screenplays never get bought? How many pilots actually go to network and then run for 2 episodes and get pulled? I mean, the industry is about projects failing, so it's inevitable.
And it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
So, to illustrate that, everybody please stand up really quickly. And what I'd like you all to do is join me in this really silly thing, in which we're all going to throw our hands up in the air and just say, I failed!
I failed!
I screwed up!
I screwed up!
I messed up!
I messed up!
I screwed the pooch! I fucked that up! Great, now, you see how different that is than I'm a failure. It actually kind of it doesn't feel good. Isn't it sort of a relief to just say, I fucked up? Isn't that sort of a relief? Doesn't it feel good? And it's okay. And then we move on from that, and to our next thing, and we throw ourselves at failure once more and hope we miss.
And every time it happens, we learn something. Yeah.
So now that we've got that out of the way, we can keep going. Okay, great. So you can have a seat. Now, in addition to that, we want to throw out the idea that stupid is good. Stupid is good. That's rule number 5.
I like that.
And what we mean by that is all ideas lead to the right idea. And that ties in hand with accepting offers and assuming that all offers that you get are gifts, even if you don't recognize their value at the time. Number six, psych yourself in. Psych yourself in. We all know what psych yourself out means.
And it's so easy to do that, especially at a thing like this, where you're like, tomorrow, the pressure.
Oh my God, I hope this is good enough. I hope what I'm wearing is right. I hope I'm the right person. I hope they like me. That's psyching yourself out. The opposite of that is psyching yourself in, and it's a choice. It takes practice, and it's a choice. You can tell yourself, I have an awesome project that everybody wants, that has value. I have value. Everybody needs this project. Everybody needs me. Everybody in this room would like to be next to me, listening to my ideas. And
In case you're
what?
wondering, he doesn't really have any self-esteem.
And the more you say that, and the more you practice that, the more you're likely to believe it. And the more you believe it, the more the person who you're standing in front of will be likely to believe it.
And at the end of the day, you'll have 5, 7, 10 people saying to you, why hasn't anyone bought this project yet? Why are you not, already a bazillionaire? Why are you...
I'm really appreciative that you come to my agency, but actually
Yeah.
the largest agency would probably be interested in you.
Yeah.
And why not? Of course they would. Again, you guys have something that they don't have, that they wish they had, they wish they could make. So again, it goes back to the status.
And number 7,
Number 7.
be authentic. Because ultimately, all you can bring to it is what you are and what you have and what your collective experience of life has given you to get to this day. That's what informs your writing, it's what informs your stories, it's what informs who you are and how you present yourself and how you talk to people. And if you try to be what they want or what you think they want, ultimately you start being inauthentic. And inauthentic doesn't play. It doesn't play in improv, it doesn't play in the real world. And you guys know it doesn't play in a screenplay. As soon as it starts to feel, your friends who've read your screenplays or people who've read it for you say, I don't believe this. Be authentic. Be true to yourself.
So, to practice these 7 golden rules, we're going to do a quick improv exercise. I promise it's not painful, it's really fun. You just have to find a partner. I prefer that you're all standing.
And ideally not your writing partner. If you come with your writing partner, I would recommend finding someone else.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do really briefly before you stand. Or you can stand up, that's fine. This is an exercise called color advance. Color advance. And this is the way it works. You're going to think of a story, any story. It doesn't matter what it is. The story could be what you did last night or what I had for lunch.
It
Or
could be a story of your childhood.
anything that you like, but it should be based in reality. Be prepared to diverge from reality, depending on how you're instructed by your partner, okay? You can start it with yesterday, last year, when I was a kid, something that puts you in the past, and pick any event. It doesn't matter how mundane. In fact, almost better if it is mundane. This is what I wore yesterday. This is what I ate. This is the kind of cereal that I had.
Now, the person who's telling the story is getting improv practice, so is the person who's listening to the story, because we said the first rule of improv is listening. So you, as the listener, have to be doing a really good job as well. And it's your job to be listening to the details and listening to the plot points of how the story is moving forward. If you want to hear more about the details, maybe they say, when I was a kid, I used to go to a barn every day, and you really want to know what that barn was like, then you say color. And now it is the teller's job to start coloring that picture. Oh, the barn was, it was a double story, it was red, and it smelled like hay and poop, and it was amazing, and it was like in the sunset would go behind it. And once you're kind of ready to move forward with the plot, then you can say advance. And now, so the listener can say advance. And now the storyteller switches from telling us about what that barn looked like, but to what happened at the barn. Oh, and so I walked in the morning and the door got stuck, and I had to get a pitchfork and try to pry the door open. So that's the idea, is you're telling a story, but there are 2 ways to tell a story. One is to describe it and color it, and one is to advance the plot points. And it's your job as the listener to, if you want to just psych them out and be like, color, advance, you can do it. It's a good exercise. But part of it also is, then we'll be here until next week. But part of it also is to you as the storyteller to pay attention to the person you're talking to and see if they're engaged and what they're engaged in and how they want you to tell the story and to sort of connect with them. So we're going to do about 3 minutes on one, maybe 2 minutes on one side of the story, and then we're going to say switch, and then you're going to reverse roles, and the other person's going to tell the story.
Got it?
Okay, go.
At the
Great, you guys, good. So, awesome stories. Excellent. And you're so engrossed. Hey, give me something. Yes, good. All right, so, how was that for you guys? Yeah? What were your, these guys are so engrossed in their stories.
I know.
Okay, great. So, what was, how was that for you as the storytellers? What did you learn when you were getting that instruction in colored dance? Any reactions? Yes?
Oh, you just got stuck going into some dark areas.
Some dark areas? I'm going to tell you now.
Yeah, just basically the yes and. Just kind of anything first that comes to your mind, just flow with it.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was good because then it kind of keeps you on track because they're paying attention, so you're not filling in enough detail. And they're like, okay, well, I need more detail here, color.
Yeah.
If you're giving too much detail advance, so it keeps them in the story.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
They become a very active part of the storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was it for those of you who were listening?
It was good exercise for rhythm.
How so?
Yeah.
Well, you know, that you just sort of focusing on, you know, the elements of the story or the plot, and then moving into more of the descriptive, you know, aspect to it. It was just sort of, when it's more intuitive and descriptive, obviously, the other things more structural. I don't know, it just seems like that would be an exercise to control the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is very active.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is what you're hoping that the person that you're speaking to is doing. You're hoping they're an active listener. And sometimes I think it's a good exercise to watch, and you can see when someone starts to glaze over and check out a little. So how do you make them an active listener again? And maybe sometimes it's, rather than say, you know what you think, it might just be changing your tactic and starting to add color instead of advancing at that moment. That might trigger them back in.
Anything else? Any other reactions from that? Yes.
Well, I just as a storyteller, feeling more comfortable when you know, doing the descriptive part, the creative part. Oh, I like this part. Back to the story.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. And wouldn't it be nice? Have you guys ever had this experience? If you're at a party or something, you're in a crowd of people, and you get cornered, and you just you listen to somebody's story. I often wish I could just impose this on the person who's telling the story. All right, advance. Good on the color. Good on the color. Great. Okay, advance. But it's. But remind yourselves that when you're pitching, the person who's listening to you may be feeling that. So be cognizant of that and watch for it and see, as Jen said, maybe they're wanting a little bit of color. Maybe you know what, they didn't react to the thing that I thought was going to be interesting, so I'll color that a little bit because it's really important. And I think I'm losing them. I'll advance now. So does that make sense? Great. Before we wrap up, are there any questions? I think we've covered this rapid fire improv. Yes.
How do you find that this works in like a group dynamic with more than two people?
Oh,
The
sure.
color and dance.
Yeah.
Did you want to?
Well, part of it is that sort of judging the room, gauging the room, feeling, checking in with everybody, because that's the problem, of course, can be that someone is going to be more interested in hearing the details and someone else is going to be more interested in hearing the plot points. So two things kind of go along with that. One is to sort of gauge it, see if you can give everybody a little bit of what they want. The second thing is who's got the status in the room. When you're pitching to, let's say, 3 people, if you've got, let's say, an agent and 2 junior agents, it might not hurt you to tailor it toward what the agent is looking for, because the junior agents are necessarily going to be taking that person's lead anyway. Even if they might have some other ideas of what they want, they're going to probably be following what that person is. If you're pitching to an executive at a studio, who's the vice president and who's what are the different positions that they're in, so that you're tailoring it a little bit to the person who's going to make the final call.
And I'll add to that to make sure that when you're in that situation that you're including everyone equally.
Yes, and even if there is a status issue, that is the thing. If there is a person in you who's obviously in the top status of, let's say, 3 people that you're pitching to, that does not mean ignore the other people at all. Because the one hard and fast rule in Hollywood is that status changes. And it changes all the time, and it changes multiple times. So the person who's getting your coffee in that group might be the person who's actually writing the paychecks for the people the next time around, or who's actually making the decision the next time around. So if you're not nice to the person who gets you coffee this time, they're not going to hire you next time when you go in and they're like, I remember you. So, so even in that situation, while you might want to tailor your pitch to the person who's making the decision, you certainly want to make sure everybody's included, and if you can, find a way to connect to each person at least once. Like, give each of them something that you think they might want for that. It's, on a day like tomorrow, it's tough because you're seeing so many people. But when you're going in for one pitch, do the research if you can. Find out who you're pitching to and find out who's going to be in the room. And if you can literally, put the call out to other friends. Has anybody met this person before? Find out if they golf. Find out if they like animals. Find out, they're a dog rescue person. There's a casting director who does dog rescue. So you find that out, great. You go to the casting session and you're like, hey, I rescued my dog. And suddenly you've got a job. It's fine.
It's that easy.
It's that easy. But use your friends and use your resources to find out about the people that you're pitching about before you pitch to them. Absolutely.
So, we can, well, the other questions before we conclude. That's it?
Okay, so we have one more thing to say on status.
Yes. So, remember, just in conclusion, remembering what we were talking about before, when you go into that room tomorrow, remember that you have the thing that they want. You actually are in control, and you have the power. You have everything that they need. They're looking for you. So,
even though it might or may not, but I've been in that situation before when you're going into pitch, naturally you feel like you have the low status. Because you're like, wow, you're the big Hollywood executive who could make my career with 2 words. With 1 word, yes, you could make my career. So then naturally you feel like, I want to do something to make you like me, and I want to honor you, and you're giving that person the status. But as David said, you have what they need. They can't do what you do. You are the one with status in that situation. You are the one walking in who should feel like, it would be so hard to be an executive who has to say yes and no to things. If only they had what I have. It's true.
so who has the status in the room tomorrow?
I do.
Yes.
I couldn't hear that.
No.
Who has the status in the room tomorrow?
I
Yes!
Yes, you do.
So, with that, remember the few things that we talked about today in terms of listening and making your partner look great, honoring them by taking notes, yes-anding, making them feel comfortable, keeping that power and that positive. Psych yourself in and have a fantastic pitch day.
Do the physical things you need to do. Take your sanitizer, take your water bottle, make sure you're taken care of seriously. So that, that you're feeling confident, you're feeling good, you're like, everything's, have your little bag of goodies, whatever you need to just set yourself up to have a great day and to be confident and to be excited and to know that you have what they want.
Put yourself in the shoes of host. You're hosting these people tomorrow.
Yeah.
And see if that changes the experience. So best of luck to you all. Thank you so much for coming. You were awesome.